Wrestlemania, the only 7-hour spectacle in sports entertainment, the pyro phenomenon, the ultimate undertaking of under-delivering. Now look, WrestleMania 37 was a surprisingly fun show despite little hiccups like the stormy weather, which I didn't have a problem with, Dana Brooke slipping on a banana peel, and The Fiend losing to Randy frickin' Orton in 5 frickin' minutes via a spoopy Alexa Bliss. Despite all that, the matches were fun, the live crowd were hyped throughout, and most of the results made sense. Yet here I am. So why am I trying to break down a good WrestleMania with plenty of fun and memorable moments to satisfy us? Well, to be honest, I have silly opinions about wrestling, and I want to share them with you because WWE TV sucks right now, and NXT, AEW, and nostalgia on the WWE Network, or Peacock, are the only reasons I still love wrestling, and we only get one life, so let's just see how this video does, okay? So at WrestleMania 37, what were the positives? Bad Bunny had the best celebrity match in WWE history, Cesaro vs. Rollins, Owens vs. Crazy Zayn, and the triple threat main event of night 2. Now, the negatives. The Fiend losing, the stupid women's tag team championship thing, the whole Matt Riddle losing his US title to Sheamus of all people thing, and call me an anti-feminist racist if you want, but Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair did not deserve to main event WrestleMania. Period. First of all, these two are incredible wrestlers, charismatic as hell, and they had one of the best matches on the card. But don't lie, they had literally no story for their match. The whole build was nothing but bland promos about, I'm the boss, I'm the EST, I'm gonna win, no, I'm gonna win. And then they both got beaten all the time by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and then freaking Reginald got involved. Lord Jesus, make it stop. I'm sorry. It still makes me upset. In fact, all of the stories, except for Roman Reigns' Universal title story, were terrible going into WrestleMania. Shane being a third-grade bully and calling Braun Strowman stupid, The Fiend Orton Bliss nonsense, Apollo Crews getting in match with Big E for the umpteenth time, and breaking up the Hurt Business just to make Bobby Lashley unlikable? Stop it, WWE. Unless you're Roman Reigns or anyone involved with Reigns' story, you are just irrelevant. It's true. It's damn true. And kinda sad. Anyway, this 2-night extravaganza was the first mass gathering in WWE since Elimination Chamber 2020. And this was the best they could do? And it was a fine little show, but hey, I have some fun ideas for how this show could go from being an adequate show to a legendary show. So say it with me, WrestleMania 37 deserved a little bit better. So this is 100% fantasy booking since the event is long past and people have moved on, but not me. There will be some strange and kind of out there choices, but please bear with me and I will do my best to try and explain and work through everything. So let's run down a card of night 1 of WrestleMania 37. After the weird Vince McMahon opening thing, the lame opening package, the storm delay, and now, Snickers and WWE proudly present the greatest live event in sports entertainment, the adventure of a lifetime, WrestleMania. You get it? Pirate Voyage, the adventure of okay. Anyway, opening the show is Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. A lot of people underestimate how an opening match really matters to set the tone for the whole night. The two of them draw history from NXT, Sasha can go full boss and heal it up in promos, and Bianca is given full creative freedom to have her own sass and charisma like she had back in NXT, and don't have them feud with freaking Reginald! I'm sorry, I like him, he does flippy stuff, but God, keep him away from the storylines. An instant classic with Bianca winning the SmackDown Women's Championship is all we need. Just make a better story next time, WWE, please! And so Bianca wins the SmackDown Women's title, and we are just getting started. Next up, Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Same exact match as in real life, but keep the Cesaro push going, you idiots! You just have to keep building him up till SummerSlam, and then he could win the Universal title from Roman Reigns, but alas not. Anyway, moving on to something fun that I really hope you'll like. It's Bayley's WrestleMania Open Challenge. So, Bayley, the mother of all Karens and the best villain in WWE besides Roman Reigns, has no match for WrestleMania. Gasp. That just won't do. Bayley spends the build-up to WrestleMania trying to goad people into having a match with her, only for Bayley to refuse to wrestle them because, as always, she has an excuse. Stomachache, leg injury, concussion, dentist appointment, etc. Until finally, Bayley has a special entrance at WrestleMania where she is played out to Misery Business by Paramore, which is, fun fact, the entrance she wanted to have at last year's WrestleMania before COVID came. Bayley grabs a mic in the ring and yells, "Since no one had the balls to face the golden role model, I guess I gotta be more direct, cause ding dong, hello! I deserve a match at WrestleMania as the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. So whoever wants to make history with yours truly, come out here and face me." Out comes Becky Lynch. Imagine the pop. Now I know Becky is still out taking care of Little Rue, but come on! She couldn't pop in for just one little match and then go right back to changing diapers and getting buff. Stop teasing us, man! Once again, this is still fantasy booking, and since Becky is healthy enough to compete, why not? Becky versus Bayley goes for a good 5 or 6 minutes. It's usually just like a glorified fun squash match, and the blowhard heel Bayley eats her words when the man comes around. Becky wins and teases a full-time return in the future, and next up is a special match with a lot of dudes. It's the Usos versus the New Day versus Apocalypse, aka Braun Strowman and Babatunde, I'll explain in a little bit, versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. A fatal 4-way match for the newly unified World Tag Team Championships. I'll try to keep this brief, okay? Put some damn respect on the damn tag team titles. Unify them, make them cross-branded, and get rid of the silverware. Give me gold titles right this instant. A few other points to make. Number 1, Jimmy Uso was cleared ahead of the Royal Rumble to wrestle, and they never used him until after Mania. What's wrong with you, WWE? Number 2, the Usos are the champions going into WrestleMania after beating Rey and Dominic Mysterio for the belts in a tournament on SmackDown. Number 3, Braun and Babatunde are a tag team because I think they would make a cartoonishly fun powerhouse tag team. And number 4, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are now an odd couple tag team, with Sami Zayn still on his conspiracy theory BS and Owens the caring straight man of this comedy routine, trying to help his troubled friend through a very, very difficult time. These two are destined to be perfect as enemies and friends. And of course, Jey Uso pinned Sami Zayn to retain the tag team titles. The truth is out there, it's all a conspiracy. Oh, I love Sami Zayn. Next up, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus for the United States Championship. This match remains the same, and even though I am a huge fan of Matt Riddle, Sheamus has been improving in the ring, so fair enough. Sheamus wins the title. Hooray, cake and balloons. Moving on to a horror movie match. Yowie wowie! The Fiend and Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross and Randy Orton in a Firefly Funhouse match. Yes, I know, it's a cinematic match. In real life, The Firefly Funhouse was a one-time thing, and we should feel bad about expecting more from WWE. But for the purposes of the story, I want to get Nikki Cross to return and try one last time to save her bestie, better than the restie, Alexa Bliss, from the clutches of Bray Wyatt. And Randy Orton realizes he can't face Wyatt alone and enlists Nikki as his partner as they walk through hell together. Randy and Nikki step into the funhouse and face their past, present, and possible futures. Nikki is trapped in a house of horrors with the good version of Alexa, but Nikki is unable to save her, and the whispers of evil Alexa and her past with sanity cause Nikki to turn even more savage and leads to her imprisonment in the funhouse, trapped in a cage wearing a straitjacket. Randy, on the other hand, relives all his failures. His worst moments like Eddie's down there in hell, that promo, his infamous temper, his betrayals, and his inability to change. And the Fiend kills Randy Orton, just like John Cena. On the Raw after WrestleMania, Nikki escapes her cage and returns to wreak havoc on Raw with the evil Alexa Bliss as her partner. Also, Randy Orton can finally go away for a little while and let other people have the spotlight. And best of all, the Fiend isn't buried at Mania and doesn't have his gimmick transferred over to Alexa. Next, Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. Keep that the same, it was great. Just wish the crowd popped more for Damian Priest. And the main event of night 1, Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. Keep that the same, it was also great. And Reigns and the Usos stand tall with their title belts on the stage as pyro goes off. The Bloodline reigns supreme at WrestleMania Night 1. Woo! That was fun. Now let's move on to WrestleMania 37 Night 2. Kicking off Mania Night 2 is a 7-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. The champion Big E versus Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, Rey Mysterio, Buddy Murphy, and the glorious Chad Gable. Little backstory to help out. Chad Gable has taken Robert Roode's glorious gimmick and has gone full Kurt Angle as a dorky babyface who believes he's the greatest of all time. I think Gable would be brilliant in this role. Can you imagine him strutting and woo like Ric Flair, just like Robert Roode used to do, and doing the whole raise your hands in the air, just like a total dork? And you could just imagine him walking down the ramp and like seeing his name up there and the glorious like text up on the screen like, "Oh, you gotta admit this is cool." Oh, I love Chad Gable. He should be doing so much more. Anyway, during the match, Rey Mysterio tries to go for the title but is pushed off the ladder and attacked by his son, Dominic. If you would like to know more, I have this idea for an all-heel Latino faction in WWE, and Dominic is one of the key factors for that story. Keep a lookout for that video coming soon. In the end, the Nigerian Prince Apollo Crews wins the IC title in a great match thanks to help from his new big muscle, not Commander Aziz, Commander Omos. This is a much better pairing in my mind, and now Apollo Crews' reign can begin in style. Please don't forget about him, WWE. He's the Intercontinental Champion. Next up is Chelsea Green and Mickie James versus Retribution's Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Now I can hear you all already. What? A few points to make. Chelsea Green was cleared from her hand injury in February, but WWE had no idea what to do with her. One of the rejected ideas they had for her was to be in a fun tag team with Mickie James, in a toned-down version of the Mickie and Trish mentor and fan storyline. So that's what I'm doing. However, Mickey's self-doubt towards being a respected legend is catching up to her, and now these new kids on the block are passing her by, and it's getting to her. She might not have a lot of years left in this business. Chelsea, as a fan and a businesswoman, lends a helping hand by giving Mickey a goal for going for the tag team titles together, for possibly a final run for Mickie James in the company. Now, about Retribution. Yeah, okay. Long story, actually, funny story. I tried to make a video about this, about Retribution, but you know what? I hated it. It was just unwatchable. I hate it. So I'm just skipping to the end. I'm sorry. So, long story short about Retribution, these guys and girls don't have dumb names or masks. They just want to be famous by destroying WWE and taking all their titles. Control Your Narrative EC3 is the leader of Retribution, and he's on a huge power trip since he wants to destroy the company that wronged him. I'll explain a little bit more later, but James and Green win the titles in a feel-good Mania moment. EC3 then chews out Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez for their failure backstage as Retribution continues to crumble from within. Now, match number 3 is a match I wish could happen today if they were booked better. Shayna Baszler versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, thanks to my Becky Lynch video, please give that a watch, Shayna Baszler has become a dominant force of nature as Raw Women's Champion, and later gains Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir as her horsewomen bodyguards like in NXT. Asuka has been a frightening war goddess with the prettiest/scariest smile instead of dancing all the time, and has fought hard for this chance after losing the Raw Women's title to Shayna at TLC in a gauntlet match. See, a little backstory, Asuka was able to cash in her briefcase she won at Money in the Bank 2020 and won the women's title at SummerSlam in a pre-planned match with Shayna, rather than attack her from behind. However, after a good 4 months of defenses, Shayna appears in the gauntlet match as a surprise entrant after taking some time off from SummerSlam. And now, it's go time! 20 minutes, and Asuka finally wins back the title by submitting Shayna in the Asuka Lock, paying off an epic year-long story of making the Empress of Tomorrow a monster again. Next up, match number 4 is a Dream Hoss Fest. Drew McIntyre versus Samoa Joe. First off, Joe could have been cleared to wrestle a long time ago if you tested him before. Secondly, Drew needs to learn about losing a little to humble him a bit. And third, Joe needs to win this match against a former WWE champion to rise back to the top again. 17 minutes of hoss fighting until Joe chokes out Drew with the clutch and wins. Joe! Oh god, he's so cool. Next up is a Wrestlemania rematch. Match number 5 is Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, Part 2. First off, Charlotte was completely healthy to compete. She no longer had COVID and she wasn't pregnant, so it's fine. Let her wrestle. I'm no big fan of Charlotte, but hey, she's a wonderful wrestler and she needs to be on that card. Rhea Ripley instead debuts on the Raw after the Royal Rumble and gains a win streak until she is tormented by her failures by a mysterious attacker who's revealed to be Good Charlotte. Flair calls Ripley a fallen star after losing the NXT Women's Championship to her at last year's WrestleMania, and that she doesn't belong on Raw after all of her failures and failed promises. Ripley is out to prove that she belongs with the main eventers, and she's waited so long to get her revenge on the woman who almost ruined her life. Ripley and Flair have a banger of a match, with Rhea finally getting the big win at Mania to end the feud and start her climb towards the Raw Women's Championship. Next up, match number 6 is a special multi-man matchup. The Hurt Business versus Retribution, EC3, Mustafa Ali, Dominik Dijakovic, Dio Maddin, and Shane Thorne in a 4-on-5 tag team elimination match. Though the Hurt Business are super cool heels, they recognize Retribution as a threat to their own plans to conquer WWE. Retribution, since debuting in June in my story, have been dominant on Raw, but now EC3 is starting to lose the plot a little bit after one too many losses on his team. He beats his male teammates, forces them to work hard no matter how hurt they are, and just generally acts like a dictator. And now at Mania, after a fun and silly match of powerhouse moves by Lashley and Dijakovic, a little high-flying from Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander, and some great drama in between, Cedric gets the pin on EC3, mirroring their feud from my previous EC3 Deserves Better video. It's all connected, the truth is out there. After the match, Mustafa Ali and the others finally betrayed the demented EC3 and put him through all the punishment he deserves, and Retribution is over. Mustafa Ali can begin a cool tweener run on Raw, Mia and Mercedes can be a badass tag team on SmackDown, Shane Thorne and Dio Maddin can probably return to NXT for more seasoning, and Dominik Dijakovic can be a single star on Raw, so everybody can feast their eyes on this wonderful wrestler. Next up is the dream match that should have happened, but didn't. So here you go, AJ Styles versus Triple H in a career-threatening match. Because, of course, you always gotta have a career-threatening match when it involves Triple H at WrestleMania. AJ Styles is a goat in the ring and was able to pull Shane McMahon of all people into a great match at Mania. So I think AJ can carry Hunter into one of his best matches since Daniel Bryan at Mania 30. AJ wins, obviously, and Triple H can go home for a while before Vince or Saudi Arabia want him back for another sad old man match with, I don't know, Shawn Michaels or Taker or whoever. I'm sorry, I've made myself sad. And now I'm here to make myself happy. Cause now it's time for the main event of Night 2. The single most hyped up match on the entire card, the reason we are all here, Aleister Black versus Ricochet for the WWE Championship. Yes. 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 If you want the full story behind this match, please watch my Ricochet and Aleister Black Deserve Better video. You will definitely need it to understand why this main event makes all the sense in the world and has the power to change WWE forever. Plus, the video uses long-term storytelling, and isn't that what all wrestling fans want? Ricochet wins a takeover-level main event match and finally wins his first WWE Championship and is now a certified main eventer alongside Aleister Black. And that is how I would book WrestleMania 37, The Adventure of a Lifetime. I tried to make a fun, wacky show with lots of fun matches and must-see feuds coming to an end. Do you disagree? How would you book the perfect WrestleMania card? Let me know in the comments, and please like, share, and subscribe for more fantasy booking videos. I'll see you all in the next one. I'm Maverick Storm, the King of Wrestling. Have a blessed day, y'all!